Let this sink in for a moment. The lack of financial education cost Americans $450 billion in 2021. 78% of American homeowners are living paycheck to paycheck. And right now, most American homeowners are equity rich and cash poor. That's another word for broke. The media isn't helping you. Schools aren't helping you. And the government for sure isn't going to save you. As a top 1% mortgage professional and seasoned investor, I cannot sit around and watch these life-changing skills that I've learned outside of traditional schooling be unused, untaught, and thrown in the trash can. So until these statistics change, I'll be here every single week, preaching and teaching personal and professional finance, information that you can use in your life, however that looks, whether you are 16 or 60. Hey friends, welcome back to another Happy Homeowner Podcast. We are going to get super niche-y today. And I bring these podcasts, these content-rich episodes to not just to social media, but I started the podcast for my clients. So I've been in the mortgage space for about 18 years, maybe a little bit longer. And so I've got a lot of clients that I've helped over the last 18 years. I have a lot of clients right now that are just meeting me and we're engaging in a relationship. And I think these different pockets of the market and bringing about some tips and some ahas and market stats are super valuable. Plus, I love it because I get to feature some of the best real estate professionals that are in each one of these markets. And today, I've got a really special guest. And we're going to be talking about Brier, Washington. So if you haven't heard of Brier, you're going to know about Brier today. And Kelsey's a pro in Brier. And I mean, when you really understand these stats, it's funny. Like I was joking before we started. I was like, hey, Kelsey, tell me, like, have we sold any? Has anyone sold any houses, or have there been some houses sold in Brier in July? And she was like, yeah, 4. And so anyway, Kelsey, welcome. Yeah. We're going to talk about Brier and we're going to talk about market stats. And then we're going to talk about things that I ask every real estate professional and mortgage professional that comes on here, the same questions. So you get different perspectives on market questions, things that you need to know as a homeowner and a home buyer. So again, welcome, Kelsey.
Thank you.
I always like to start off too by talk about your journey that got you into real estate, like how our paths crossed today. I'm in mortgage finance, you're real estate with John L. Scott. How'd you get into real estate?
Well, I mean, real estate's always was in the back of my head for, I don't know, since I was like 18. I was like, I'm going to do real estate, but you know how it goes. Everyone's like, no, you don't want to do that. So I tried the traditional path, and then 2020 hit, and I can't tell you how instantly I was like, I had my daughter in 2020. Okay. Life went to craziness, as we all know. And I was like, this is one life. Why don't you chase your dreams and do what you really want? So that is when I started to get my real estate license. I had a bakery for like 2 minutes, which was very fun. Yep. And then I switched to real estate, and I started interviewing, and John L. Scott Snohomish was the only place I walked in instantly. That's and was cool. Like, this is the one.
Killer vibes in there.
Yeah, it's just so friendly, and everyone, the amount of people I have met is just insane. That's how I met you, through the connections, and it's been great.
Well, I can tell you made a good choice because I have a little experience with bakeries. I have a little experience in real estate, and there's definitely, although baking goods and delivering those are great, there's a little bit more money and maybe a little bit better income in real estate than baked goods. But that's awesome. So you got into real estate 2020 and talk about 2022.
Yeah.
Great time to get in, because here's the thing. I always explain this to clients that, when you're making the largest financial purchase of your life, it's great to work with professionals that have been through different markets so they can advise you on, hey, 2020 was a totally different market than 2022. 2022 is completely different than what we're experiencing halfway through 2025. And so what a great time. I got into mortgage in 2008. So I always have a great story to tell that I purposefully chose to get into mortgage in the absolute worst time in the history of the world. So that's a killer story. And then you're killing it today. You're at a great brand, great group, in a great area too. So this is the Snohomish County area.
Yeah.
All right. So when it comes to Brier, Brier is super unique.
Yes.
Why Brier?
I grew up in Brier. I moved there when I was 2, and my parents are still there. And it really has a special place. And people who are from Brier know this. You are always from there.
Yeah.
Like the group that the Brier community page on Facebook is ginormous because people love it there, and it is like the place to be. So it's a beautiful spot. So
then let's talk about Brier. And I know there's some fun facts. I knew this as we were starting to talk about Brier, just through experience. But what makes Brier super unique?
So Brier is really unique because it really has big lots, and they really focus on keeping it a small town. You really still will see chickens in backyards and horses walking down the street, right? You're just going to have that small town feeling in an amazing spot because you are right next to 405 and right next to I-5.
So let's talk about that real quick. So if you're listening to this or watching this, you're like, hey, Brier sounds interesting. I really like what Kelsey has to say about it. Geographically speaking, let's describe Brier.
Yeah, so Brier is in between the major cities in Snohomish County. So it's in between Bothell and Linwood and Edmonds and Montlake Terrace. So it's still in the heart of Snohomish County, but you're still getting that small town.
Yeah.
Big homes.
Yeah. I mean, you're minutes from the east side, minutes from, Seattle, maybe a few more minutes from downtown Seattle. But the really cool thing is, I drive near and around there because we live in Richmond Beach, Edmonds area, and my office is in Kirkland, Totem Lake. So I'll go down around the lake and save the 405 traffic or save the 520 traffic. And so what a cool little community. Yeah, you got a little bit of Lake Washington. You got maybe the Puget Sound just minutes away.
Yeah, so everything you can go towards the ocean in Edmonds, or you can head towards the mountains really easily. It's just a nice, perfect spot.
Yeah, or north and get away from it all in Snohomish, further north in Snohomish County. Yeah. So then Brier's a great town. It's unique, big lots. I think we were talking quarter acre minimum.
Yeah.
Like you can't subdivide. It's
no, and
big
they've
lots.
been fighting the ADU and DADU laws that are trying to be put in place because they really want to keep it a small town and keep it unique. So
preserve those lot sizes so that if you're looking for a place where there's not going to be any, additional development per se, Brier is a cool little community. Not a big community, but a cool little community. Large lots, great location. So let's talk about, and you're going to see this with some of these market stats, the uniqueness of Brier really is having it perform in the market better than a lot of its neighboring cities from market statistics standpoint.
Yeah, so because Brier is so desirable, the prices are still staying high. They have dropped from last year, but they're still
I think you said like 0.04%, like down like not even 0.5%.
Yeah, so they're still, they're still high and days on market are low. So it is very desirable where we're seeing a change in many different cities in Snohomish County. Brier is still staying right in the competitive side.
I love that. So one of the questions that I ask every guest, because there's a lot of, depending on what you read online in regards to a seller's market and a buyer's market and statistics, quite honestly, you can watch the news and you can emotionally define a buyer's market or a seller's market. I like to use statistics and real estate pros like you. So Brier right now, based off of the statistics, and we're going to talk more about these here in a second, but are we in a seller's market or a buyer's market right now in Brier?
It's in Brier, it's definitely a seller's market still. The homes are not sitting long. They're very desirable. I think the average day is 15 days, which is up a tiny bit, but it's very small. The average home has, I don't know how many showings I saw, but there was tons of showings before it's pending. So it is still... hot area.
Yeah, we've talked recently on the podcast about Kirkland, Juanita, parts of Snohomish, Maltby, Marysville, and all of them are 28 to like 38 days on market right now. So to have a fraction of that is just, it goes to show you. And like we mentioned when we first started, 4 homes. Yeah. I mean, 4 homes sold in July. We're filming this in August of 2025. I think last year there was 9.
Yeah.
9 total closings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a real estate agent, you're not going to get rich by selling homes in Brier, but because people just really, they don't sell a ton. I mean, it's someplace where, and correct me if I'm wrong, people that own there trying, just like where I live, they keep it in the family if they can, right?
Oh yeah. I know there's generations in our neighborhood. And it's also a place where people live for 30 years plus. I think there's still so many original owners that are living there. So, yeah.
So a seller's market, to get clear on this, and I think this is really important to differentiate what the news would say and what a professional like Kelsey would say. So a seller's market, help us define what you mentioned, that we're still in a seller's market in Brier. What is the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market?
So a seller's market really is when there is not enough demand to hit the buyers that come on. So if there's 20 people looking for a home and there's only 10 on the market, that's a seller's market. So simple terms. Yep. Yeah. In Brier, that happens a lot.
Yeah. And then the opposite would be true. When that flips, it turns into a buyer's market.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many homes for sale and a fair amount of buyers.
Yeah. And lots of options.
So you tend to negotiate and drop price. So as you can see, Brier is held really firm on price, obviously I always like to say just over the last couple of years, because we've been in a high interest rate, somewhat very limited inventory market over the last few years. That's starting to change, but Brier is standing out among other cities. And so, okay. Do you see that changing anytime soon?
I really don't.
Okay.
I think that with the interest rates not maybe dropping, as they keep saying, then we're going to see even more demand in buyers. So there's going to be more buyers looking for nice areas for their dream home, and Brier's going to be a very popular place for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to talk about some really key stats right now, like days on market, list price to sales price, new listings versus solds, and then maybe compare that to year over year. But kind of the question that I want to frame this discussion around is, when we're talking about Brier, current days on market, list price to sales price, how that compares to, let's just say, Snohomish County or even King County in general. So Brier right now, you mentioned current days on market, 15 days. 15 days. Okay. So that's super, super hot. That's more like the 2020, 2021, you list a house and within 2 weeks, your house sells. That used to be par for the course everywhere. Yeah. Now it's Brier, everyone else is about twice that.
Yeah. We're looking at like 28 days on average in Snohomish County, I think, or somewhere around there. So yeah, it's definitely very warm area.
Cool. And then as far as like year over year, like compared to this time last year in Brier, was it about the same?
Yeah, I think it was a little less.
Okay.
I think it was 8 days on market last year, but yeah.
So up a few days, nothing big, nothing to write home about. All right. So then list price, I really like. So when I'm talking to clients, everyone wants a deal, right? I mean, when I talk with people about a mortgage, they want the best rate and lowest fees and all that stuff. And they also want a really, really great deal on the house right now, because the news is saying that home values are down and this and that. And these are national statistics. Like there's some pockets right now in America that are not doing well at all. They're oversaturated. Maybe I call them hype areas where, areas get super trendy, super fast, and everyone moved there. And then when they realize the jobs aren't that great and the seasons aren't that great, and then the economy pulls back a little and rates go up, and so it costs more to live there, there's some pullbacks. And we're seeing that in a lot of cities. The greater, I would just say, Puget Sound or Pacific Northwest, we're not really seeing that. And even if you go back to the crash in 2008 to 2012, there were areas that took 5 to 10 years to recover. We recovered rather quickly. And we didn't see the massive drops. But I like list price to sell price, because that, when I am talking with clients about getting a deal, I love it because I get to have conversations with clients when they're not with you, right? When they're not with their real estate agent. And so they're like, well, I was thinking about offering, it's listed for $780 and I was thinking about offering seven. And I'm like, okay, not happening. Like, I don't care where you're at. And so I always frame it though, versus being rude like that and forward like that. I'll frame it and say, hey, I understand you want a deal. And whereas some places in America that might happen, let's have your real estate agent look at some of the neighborhoods, not even the city, some of the pockets and neighborhoods that you're looking at buying in, and go pull the last, 30 days closings and I like to say 30 days because that's super recent, and see what the house was originally listed at and then what it closed at, because that's public record, right?
Yeah.
So you can see that, and that's going to kind of give you an idea of if rates haven't changed, if market conditions really haven't changed month over month. That's going to give you an indication of what kind of a deal you can get. If I used to tell people this in 2020 when the market was super aggressive, if homes are selling at 103% of the sales price, be prepared to offer more, right? Yeah. Now, in this market, if they're selling at or a little bit under, don't go offering 5 or 10%. You're just wasting everyone's time because the data doesn't support that. So from a list price to sales price standpoint, how does Brier hold up?
It's still holding up really strong. I think last year it was about 105% over list to sell price.
Nice.
And then now it's like 103. So homes are still going over ask in the area. And I think it's a good strategy. I think a lot of agents in the area are pricing a little bit lower because they know the market's shifting and it's causing some competitiveness as well.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. All right. So that's a very, very good indicator of a healthy market there or a healthy community. I like this one. So I like using, especially in Brier, where you've got a really tight group of data. In a bigger city where you've got, $500,000 homes and $5 million homes, it's hard to use average because you're averaging such a wide spectrum. So we kind of focus on median. Would you like to use median or average sales price in Brier? What did you use? And then what is the average or median sales price right now we're looking at?
So the median right now is at a 1.1 over. So the homes are holding value because last year we saw at a 1.2.
Okay.
So it's not a huge drop, but it is definitely still up there.
Okay.
Big homes, big prices.
Yeah. So 1.1.
Yeah.
Would you know this? I know I didn't ask you this to research this, but what's kind of like a higher end home on the price spectrum in Brier? I mean, we're talking like 3, 4, 5, or are we talking like under?
We're talking around 2 million.
Around 2. Okay.
There's tons of actually new construction happening in the tiny pockets of Brier. So there's new homes being built that are hitting the 2.1s, which is like crazy for me to think about. But, so homes are around there, and then the older homes built in like the 80s and 90s are sitting about 1.2 to 1.8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as far as that's really great.
Yeah.
Future thoughts on Brier and home values. Let's play devil's advocate and say that interest rates don't fall and they stay the same. Do you see Brier maintaining its price integrity?
I do.
You do?
I do. I think that people want those big lots and those comfort areas, and I think that it just holds its value in location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going to reverse engineer. I always do this because I like to bring this full circle. But before I share this number, I always like to talk about, all right, so based off of the average sales price or median sales price, like what does it take? Like what does it look like? How much money do I need to earn annually to live in Brier?
Yeah.
I'm going to get you this number, but I need a second to calculate this. It only takes me like 12 seconds. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure this out while you're answering the next question, which I think is it's one of those questions that I ask every single one of my guests, and it's valuable information. You have an opportunity to pick the brain of a pro. If someone was thinking about selling their house in the next 6 months, what should they be doing right now to prepare? Like you met someone and they're like, hey, we're not interested in selling right now, but hey, we're going to be selling right around the holiday season or the end of this year, maybe early 2025 or 2026. What should I be doing right now to prepare?
I think the number one thing to do is really meet with your agent, talk about timeline, talk about markets. When's the best time to buy and sell or to sell in general? And I think that following the market trends, so following the neighborhood, making sure to do your research, and then start doing those small things to start getting your house ready. Yeah.
What are those small things? What are a couple of small things that, you kind of advise everyone on?
Decluttering. Get rid of all the really beautiful family photos, clean out those countertops and remove anything extra big furniture. So making it minimalized.
I love how you just described that. Remove those beautiful family photos. We all love it. It's memories. It's memories we made in the house. Yeah. But you have to understand we need to neutralize, right? That's kind of how you guys explain that. Neutralize it for a potential buyer so they can see themselves maybe making those memories and hanging those photos. Yeah. And then, cleaning off countertops. It's like you go into my office and there's nothing on my desk. Like I can't function in clutter. And although people might live in it and they might be as crazy as I am with that, again, someone comes in and it just gives the impression of cleanliness and tidy. Yeah. Okay. Flipping it on you now, buyers. So if you have a buyer, same thing, thinking of buying, maybe a first-time home buyer that's thinking about buying in the next 6 months, what advice would you give them now to prepare?
I think that when you're getting ready to get onto market, you want to really talk to your agent about your price point and what you're looking for, and having that deep conversation about what is important to you, but also understand your budget. We don't, as agents, really want you to go over that budget. We want you to stay realistic, and I think, Big
takeaway that I just got from Kelsey, which I've not heard. I've had a lot of really good agents on this podcast. This is why I have this for. This is a new takeaway. So her main focus, did you hear her with both, is understanding the market statistically speaking. And I know why she's taking this approach, because when you're sitting in a living room with a potential seller, they have an idea in the back of their mind what their house will sell for, what they want their house to sell for. Now, remember, that's in arrears. That's in the past 12 months or 2 years, and they've seen their neighbor's house a year ago or 6 months ago sell for X, so they think that they're going to get X plus, right? Yeah. And so understanding those market stats, the list price to sell price in the last 3 months, 30 days to 3 months, same thing with buyers. Setting proper expectations is so important. Yeah. So they might go get pre-approved at a bank or a credit union or someone that's not necessarily working with me, where I reverse engineer that. Yeah. But they might say, hey, Kelsey, I'm pre-approved for 1.1 million. And you're like, great, I got a pre-approval letter. I'm going to set the search criteria at 1.1, but their budget might be 950. Yeah. Now they're in trouble, because now every $900,000 to $950,000 home, since they've looked and set their standard at a 1.1, is just going to be garbage, unfortunately. And I've just seen this over the last, 18 years. And so I love that your approach is get your statistics and your market analysis dialed in before you go. And that's just setting proper expectations before you think about selling, before you think about going out and buying. Yeah. Love that. That's big. Okay. Before we go to our last couple of questions, let me come full circle on Brier, what it would take to live in Brier. So average sales price right around 1.1. You could go up to like higher end in Brier is going to be about 2, but I'm just going to use 1.1. So if we take an average home in Brier listed at 1.1 and you want to buy it, meet your criteria, you're most likely going to put 20% down at 1.1. Could you put less? Yes. So the max county conforming loan limit is a little over $1 million, like $1,030,000, $1,037,000. So I'm just going to say 1.1 with 20% down. All right. If you put 20% down on a home with property tax estimates, homeowners insurance estimates, and then I'm going to assume that you got about $500-ish in revolving debt each month. Yeah. You're going to need to make approximately $16,500 a month total household income to buy a home with 20% down in Brier. That's about a $200,000 a year total household income. And that's pretty congruent with people living in Brier right now. So, people always ask, like, hey, I want to live in a certain city like Brier. What do I mean? Would I qualify? Do I make enough money? And this is just kind of a ballpark idea. Of course, you could put less down. You could put more down, and that could influence that number higher or lower. But kind of a general rule of thumb there. All right, last couple of questions. Yeah. What is the biggest mistake you're seeing sellers make summer 2025 when it comes to selling their house?
Oh, this has probably been said 100 times, but I'll say it again. I think it's overpricing. Mm-hmm. The number one reason that homes are sitting longer than the average days on market is the price. If you think your value is up there.
So she politely meant when you don't listen to your agent, when you try to price your home on your own and not listen to your pro, you're asking for trouble. So, okay. Let's, again, flip the table. Now you're working with a buyer. What's the biggest mistake you're seeing buyers make in today's market?
I think being picky. I think with low inventory, it can be hard to find the perfect house, but as we know, there's no perfect house.
Yep.
And I think that learning what you're going to give on your list of wants is important.
So do you believe in kind of having that A list, right? And then going, okay, these are the 10 things we're really looking for in a house, but being able to settle for a 7 or an 8?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. The perfect house in a tough market. So when there's limited inventory and homes are flying off the shelf, good luck. And that's the biggest complaint that I have had clients say to me. They kind of feel like they have the golden handcuffs on right now. They bought a house in 2020 or 2021 when it was super competitive. Yeah. They bought it because everything was on sale with a 2 or a 3% 30-year fixed rate. Why not? And my friends are doing it, and I can qualify. Well, now they're finding out that they got that 3% rate, and they don't like the neighborhood or they don't like the community and they want out, but they got this super great, cheap, low monthly payment that would triple if they were to move. And so I think having that perspective is gold, having that perspective going, okay, have your list of things that are must-haves. And we do this in our home buyer classes. We help people identify the must-haves in a home, and then things they're willing to make an exception on or a trade to basically go and move forward on a particular home. So I love that advice. That's really great. Yeah. All right, closing thoughts. Yeah. Which, by the way, I love this. Your questions were answered a lot differently than other guests that I've had. So this is really, really great. Good. If someone wants to follow you, social media, YouTube, website, what's the best way for people to follow you and get more information on cool little niche markets like Brier?
Yeah, so I do a lot of social media on Instagram, Kelsey Wilson Homes. I don't know if I'm allowed to plug it, but so I working really hard to grow that and try and get more perspective and more engagement. So one of the things I love so much about Kelsey is she's super real. Like, she's a mom, she's a working mom, and she knows a ton about real estate. She works her tail off, and she's so great and genuine with people. We got to help someone relocate from the Midwest and get to work together not too long ago. And I just loved, I love how certain agents, I call it hand holding, but guiding, I call it mama bearing it, and that's really what it comes down to, but just making sure all aspects of the transaction are great. So it's Kelsey with an S, right? Yes. Kelsey, Wilson Homes on Instagram. And I'd encourage you to reach out to her if you have any questions on real estate, specific to Brier especially, because of course, you grew up there, so you know a little bit more than the average agent about Brier. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Yeah, I appreciate this.
I will be back next week with another incredible guest like Kelsey on the Happy Homeowner Podcast. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Thank you.